Hey guys, today's episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast is presented by Cedarville University. We love having them as partners with us here at Sports Spectrum. They are one of the leading Christian universities in the country. They're well known for their excellent academic programs that equip graduates for lifelong ministry and service, including their new Master of Athletic Training degree. Cedarville's athletic training program is accredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Athletic Training Education. Basically, that means it's a big deal and it's done properly. Students are taught by outstanding professors who are experienced in the athletic training profession, including Program Director Mike Weller, who has worked with the Cincinnati Bengals and the NFL. And what sets Cedarville's MAT program apart is the opportunity for students to earn a bachelor's degree in sports medicine, a Bible minor, and the Master of Athletic Training in just 5 years. And it's all from a biblical world view. And they also offer a 2-year standalone master's program for students who've already completed a bachelor's degree elsewhere. Now, I got to tell you, recently I was on Cedarville's campus, and I can attest how wonderful their facilities are. They have amazing academic programs. Their faculty is second to none. In fact, the MAT is hosted and housed in newly renovated spaces with the latest technology. So I want to encourage you to visit cedarville.edu/athletic training to learn more about this innovative Master of Athletic Training program. That's cedarville.edu/athletic training to learn more about the new Master of Athletic Training program at Cedarville University. Check it out today.
Welcome to the Sports Spectrum Podcast, the intersection of sports and faith. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
And welcome everyone to the show. I am Jason Romano, and this is the Sports Spectrum Podcast on a football Friday. It's always great to continue to have conversations with people from the world of football and the NFL on a Friday, even in the off season. And as we've mentioned many times, there really isn't an off season in football. It's constant on the go. What's the next thing with the draft and the combine and free agency and mini camps, OTAs, and then you get a little bit of a break and then training camp. So it just keeps going. And we're going to keep going here with these Friday football conversations. And today on the show, we talked to Leger Douzable. Now, Leger is a guy that I met a couple years back at the NFL broadcast boot camp when he was still playing. He got 10 years in the NFL. Bunch of different teams. He was a Viking, then a New York Giant, St. Louis Rams, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, New York Jets, which is probably where he's mostly known for, Buffalo Bills, and then finished out his career with the San Francisco 49ers in 2017. But Leger is a guy who loves the Lord and is also a guy who really defeated the odds. When you think about playing 10 years in the league, he wasn't even drafted. He came out of college at UCF, Central Florida, undrafted. He was a first-team All-Conference USA, but didn't get a chance until after the draft. He signed with the Vikings and was on their practice squad, then went over to the New York Giants, and like I said, all of those other teams. But that allowed him to play 10 years in the NFL, and now he's doing great work in the broadcasting space, working with SNY and doing a bunch of different broadcasting opportunities. He's wonderful to follow on Twitter. And Leger and I were at the Super Bowl together in Los Angeles a couple months back, and he and I had a chance to sit down and talk about what the Lord is doing in his life. And I really enjoyed this conversation. I think you guys will too, here on a Football Friday on Sports Spectrum's podcast with Leger Douzable, the former NFL defensive end. Let's take a listen. Leger, welcome back to Sports Spectrum, buddy.
Man, appreciate you for having me, Jay. Man, it's good to run up on you out here in L.A., man. Like you said, you never know who you're going to see out here.
You don't. I mean, I put it on Twitter, and you were like, I'll roll by and catch up
sure.
with you. And I'm like,
catch up
here
with
we
my
are.
guy, man. I have to catch up with him.
So we go all the way back to the NFL broadcast boot camp, and it feels like that boot camp is paying off.
Oh, it is, man.
Because you're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, be able to meet you, Jerry Madeline, so many other influential people that have blessed me throughout my career, man. It's been a blessing. I want to say it's been a seamless transition because it's definitely been a lot of work.
It's hard.
But meeting you guys have definitely helped put me in the place where I am right now.
I remember running into you in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And you were doing the advanced boot camp, and you were like assigned to Super Bowl Radio Row to do interviews with people. And now you're doing work, man, with SNY, ESPN, CBS Sports. It feels like, I don't know this for sure, but it feels like you are very busy in 2021.
You
Is
can
that
say that,
fair?
man. Yeah, very busy, a lot of traveling. But it's been a blessing, right? This is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. This is my passion. So God has blessed me to put me in a position to be able to work for multiple media outlets. So I don't complain, man. It's a blessing. I know people would kill to be in a position that I'm in. So
when you retired, did you, or even I'll go back even further. When you were playing, did you know you wanted to do this broadcast thing?
100%. When I was playing, even with the Jets, I was working with SNY.
Yeah.
So every off day I had, Tuesday I would go there, and even sometimes on Thursday, I would do the Thursday Jets game plan show with them. So this is something I always wanted to do. I knew it in college. Like whether I made it to the NFL, this was something that I was going to pursue. I got my degree in communications. I wanted to get it in journalism, and but I couldn't do it because the classes were in the morning. We had practice in the morning, and when you're on scholarship, you have to kind of do what your coach says. So so I got as close as possible with communications, and like I said, I knew this is what I wanted to do probably by my sophomore year in college.
Nice. And so you go on to a long NFL career. 11 years is great.
Blessing.
I mean, it's a blessing, right, when you think about that. And now you're getting to do broadcast work. When you think about where the Lord has taken you, what comes to mind? Like I feel like the word gratitude comes to mind. I'm sure that's part of it. But there's probably a lot of emotions and thoughts when you think of the blessings and the journey that you've
100%.
taken and where God has you.
I would say gratitude for sure, but another term I would use is why me? Why did the Lord bless me with this opportunity? Out of all the people, like I knew so many guys that were talented to play football, and I played 10 years as an undrafted guy. Like that rarely even happens. I believe in my draft class there was only 2 D linemen that played longer than me, and I was undrafted. So I sit back and thank the Lord all the time because. Like, why me, Lord? Why did you decide to give me this, put me in this situation? And I thank him, and I never take it for granted at all. And just to be able to be blessed to know what you want to do post-career, because that's a big issue in this industry as well. Like, when guys leave the field, sometimes they have a problem trying to figure out what's the next phase of life. And I kind of knew what I wanted to do, before that. And God was able to bless me with the pleasures of my heart to be able to do that. So, like I said, I'd never take anything for granted, and I thank him literally every day for putting me in this situation because I know there's so many other guys that would literally die to be in the position that I am in right now, and I just can't thank him enough for that.
Where does your faith become Leger's faith? When you accept Christ, maybe you're little and you go to church and you do this with mom and dad, maybe you get baptized. I don't know your story, but
I'll tell you a little bit about it.
At some point, you got to make that decision for yourself. So walk us through your sort of journey with Christ.
Yeah, so my dad's a minister. So I grew up in the church. My dad's one of the strongest guys I know. Been through a lot in life. Wasn't always a believer. Was in the streets and stuff, things like that. And I remember my mom had us going to church before that.
Yeah.
And then my dad accepted Christ, and I saw his journey. And I think just as a little kid watching that journey and seeing my dad transform and become the superhero in my eyes that he is, that literally brought me closer to the Lord. There was also a play that I watched when I was younger, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of it. Yeah. But the play was amazing, and it also brought me to Christ to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord.
Was
and
the
Savior.
play about Jesus?
It was about about Christ, and of course there was the Easter and resurrection and everything in there. But the play was by multiple kids and adults. But I think just seeing all the kids up there and their love for the Lord, and like when you're 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, kind of resonates with you. Like it's one thing, you hear people say it all the time. It's one thing if an adult tells you something, but if one of your peers shows you or tells you something, I think it really hits home differently. So I think that's what really drew me to the Lord. And ever since that day, man, I've thanked him for everything. Like every situation I've been in, any, trials and tribulations I've always been in. There's not too many times, I'm not going to say because I'm not the perfect Christian. There's been times I've said, why me? But there's been other times when things haven't gone my way, and I was like, Lord, you built me for this situation.
Yeah.
And that comes with just the faith I have in God. And as far as me being so blessed and being in the position I am today, I know I wouldn't be here without him.
Is there a moment that you can share where you were in a dry season, a tough season,
man,
and it sounds like more than one moment.
Man, so there's a couple, man.
Yeah,
I'll give you
please.
a couple examples. The first one was probably going undrafted, right? You work your whole life to play the game that you love. You hear certain scouts and you hear see article clips and stuff of you potentially going into the third round, and then your name doesn't get called. But that's where my faith was really tested, and that's where I knew I had to really hone into what God was trying to put me through, and I knew it was just for a season to elevate me. You know this, Jay. You've been in the industry forever. When you go undrafted, man, a lot of guys don't last that long.
No.
I mean, even if you're drafted, I think the average is 3.2 years or 3.4 years.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long. So, for me, again, to be undrafted, right, and to fight tooth and nail, and again, I never doubted, that I was going to be able to play in the NFL. I was telling people this in middle school, high school, this is what I'm going to do. Now, I wanted to be an engineer originally growing up, but then once I fell in love with the game of football, I was like, this is what I was made to do. This is what I was not put on earth to do, but this is what I really enjoy. And I could use my testimony and what I've been through to help maybe elevate somebody else. So I would say that was one. Another one was right when COVID hit, right? You stated that you've seen me at the broadcast boot camp, so I was literally planting these seeds to get ready to have my harvest grow, and I had so many things set up, and then COVID hit, and then instead of hiring people, they were letting people go.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that could have been the end of my broadcasting career right there, but I kept my head down, prayed. I knew God had something in store for me. I kept working. Sometimes was working for free just to keep my name out there, working for very cheap, almost free labor.
Yeah.
But, again, planting all those seeds led me to the point where I am now. So, I mean, those are two stories right there where I thought, I don't want to say that my faith wandered, but it did a little. But I never turned my back on God because I knew there was a reason why he put me through that storm and was to come out on top.
That's a really great story when you think about that moment, even when COVID hit, because it hit so many people in different ways.
For sure.
Not just from a broadcast perspective or from a job perspective. A lot of people lost their jobs. Obviously, the health perspective and all the terrible tragedies that we saw and the deaths lost, and then the political divide and race and so many things that took place over the past few years. When you compound that with everything that you're going through, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's anger, there's a lot of emotions. How does God help you kind of keep all that in check?
Everything that you just talked about, I was going through in the back of my head, anger, fear, why?
Anxiousness.
Again, going undrafted, always having to do it the hard way. Now I got to do it in broadcasting the hard way. Back against the wall, 10 years. Guys that go in the first round don't do that.
Yeah.
And yet I still got to start from ground zero and work my way back. But again, it literally was the Lord putting me through a storm because I knew I was going to come out on the other end and be better at it for it. I think anxiety was a big thing. Fear, not knowing what's going to happen next. Because when it first happened, I've never seen sports shut down. Sports shut down when it first happened.
It shut down.
Shows weren't being had.
I'd
never seen anything like this in my life. And then I remember I was either in middle school or something when we had the bird flu. So that was the closest thing to this. And people were wearing masks, but life was still kind of going on.
Yeah.
This was something totally different that nobody was prepared for.
Yeah.
Again, things shut down. So I was dang, I built up all this equity thinking I'm about to take that next step, and start to stardom, quote unquote, in my next career. And then, COVID happens. And again, they're not hiring people. They have to let people go. People have taken pay cuts. Everybody's doing everything remotely. So you can't really get in to meet, the decision makers. Everything is on Zoom.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person, Jay. I got to be up in front of you. I got to meet you that way. And again, I've gotten used to being on Zoom since that's how everything is now. But really, I like to be, I got to be around people, man. So it was just weird. And being in the studio 2019, that whole season, it was just weird having everything virtual. So I was like, I knew the Lord had a plan for me. And there's no quitting me. It's been my life story. I've always been an underdog. So I just, again, got down on my knees, prayed, and just continued to work at my craft. I controlled what I could control.
Hey guys, taking a quick break from our conversation here on Sports Spectrum to remind you about our friends at Cedarville University. I love this place, one of the leading Christian universities in the country, and they have this wonderful, brand new Master of Athletic Training program that you need to go check out. What sets Cedarville's Master of Athletic Training program apart is the opportunity for students to earn a bachelor's degree in sports medicine and a Master of Athletic Training in just 5 years. And maybe you've already got your bachelor's degree program. Hey, no problem. You'll only need 2 years to complete the MAT program. Cedarville University is the real deal. I love what they're all about. I've been on the campus, and I can attest that it has great facilities, wonderful academic programs. Their faculty is second to none, and that includes in that faculty Program Director Mike Weller, who has worked for the Cincinnati Bengals and in the NFL. So let me encourage you to visit cedarville.edu/athletic training to learn more about Cedarville's Master of Athletic Training program. Check out the new program again at this website, cedarville.edu/athletic training. I am confident when you check it out, you will be thoroughly impressed. Make sure you go check it out today. Now let's get back to our conversation with Leger Douzable right here on Sports Spectrum. 2 words I want to ask you about because I hear them as you tell your story.
Yeah.
Trust and surrender.
Yeah.
Talk about trust first.
Oh, man. So trust, I think with that word comes faith as well, right? So just always knowing, there's a plan, like God has a plan for you, right? So and my mom used to say this about me all the time. She's like, there's been times where, I've wandered and you always tell me God has a plan for us. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people didn't know this until I put the picture out on Twitter. And so my mom went through breast cancer this year. So dealing with that while still working, really getting my true first opportunity to go nationwide when it comes to broadcasting. It was a lot. Right, but I had to be strong for my mom. She's one of the strongest human beings I've ever met as well. But I had to be there for her, and going through that, I didn't tell a lot of people. Only maybe 5 people knew, in my whole life. Yeah. Because one, I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, and also my mom was going through that, so I didn't want to put her business out without her blessing. So, even through that whole situation, just praying and telling my mom, Mom, you're tough. God gives his strongest soldiers the toughest battles. I know we're going to get through this. We've been through a lot in our lifetime, and you've always pushed me, and you've always bestowed upon me to trust in God, and God has a plan for you. So I literally, would tell her that every single day, sending her messages every single day. I was constantly praying while still trying to focus on work and do work. So, faith, without my faith, Lord knows where I would be right now. There's so many times, Jay, I could have went the other way. But just my faith in God. And again, you talk about surrender. Just leaving it all there for him.
Well, just hearing your mom's story, suddenly surrender has to come into play because it's out of your hands.
You can't control it, right? So, I think there's a Bible verse that says, don't worry about tomorrow's problems today. They'll be there tomorrow.
Matthew 6.
Yeah. So, I literally adapt that into my lifestyle. And anybody that knows me, I bring up that verse all the time, when they're talking about, but what about, I'm like, you can't worry about tomorrow's problems tomorrow. Worry about today.
Take care of today.
Take care of today. Tomorrow's problems are going to be there regardless. So there's no point of you adding on to the misery and anxiety that you already have. Yeah. Trust God. Handle what you got to handle today. And tomorrow, we'll handle tomorrow.
Easier said than done.
It is.
Certainly,
it is.
That's why
that's why surrender and faith is so important in those situations.
How's Mom doing?
She's doing great, man. She... I want to say, was it January 5th? She rang the bell, cancer-free, thanking God.
Big moment.
There was no moment during the MRI scan, when they scanned her tissue, there was no signs of it. So we're just thanking God right now, man, because, breast cancer, it's aggressive. It can be very aggressive.
But it's a day-by-day thing.
Yeah, exactly. And for her to have the type of response, I mean, it was nobody but God, 100%.
We've just talked for 14 minutes, and we haven't even talked about football. Isn't
I
that
can talk
the
about
best?
the Lord all day, man. You don't always got to talk about football. I mean, granted, I love football. Again, it's one of my passions.
Yeah.
But the Lord is my passion.
No, that's good. Well, I do want to ask you one football question. If you could look back to your career, what's the favorite moment of yours from your playing career?
Ooh.
Do you have one?
That's a good one, Jay. There's actually a couple.
Well, let's hear both of them.
I would say the first time I suited up. So, again, I went undrafted. So my first year, half the year I was on practice squad my rookie year. Second half I was on active, but I never got to play. Going into my second year, I would say I played in my first game on the road in San Fran. This is Candlestick. Like, this is that spaceship. Like, this is when it was rocking in San Fran. Like,
and you're on which team? You're on the Jets?
No, I was I didn't even tell you. I was playing for the Rams my second year. I played for the Rams.
Rams.
Yeah.
Team
Team that's in the Super Bowl right
That's
now.
right.
And I think it was either my first third down snap, getting in the back, almost had a sack, had a quarterback hit, and then I think that's when I told myself, like, you can play in this league for a long time. Just knowing, what I had been through, wanted to play. Like, I never had not played. I mean, in college, I played my freshman year. So, like, it was just weird, like, being inactive and being on practice, like, not playing, like, doing all the work during the week, but not technically reaping the benefits as far as playing on Sundays.
Sure.
It was weird. Like, I'd never experienced anything like that. So I think my second year, my first game, being able to move me inside a 3 technique on third down, beat the guard, got to the quarterback, hit him. That was a surreal moment for me. Like, that was like, okay, welcome to the NFL.
Yes.
Like, dang, I like it.
What's the other moment you were thinking about?
It had to be, and this is probably weird I'm going to say this, but I was playing for San Francisco my last year, right? We go up to Philadelphia, and this is 2017. Philadelphia won the ring that year.
Yeah, they were the champs.
They're number 1 seed.
Just ask a Philadelphia fan.
Exactly.
And they remind you
100%.
of 2017.
No question. They were the number 1 team in the NFL at that time. Not just NFC, AFC as well. They were stacked. I probably had the best game of my career that game. 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, like 7 tackles, and a pass breakup. Lane Johnson hadn't given up. And I wonder if he's going to hear this. He hadn't given up a sack that whole year. Got him on a sack that game.
There you go.
But, yeah, I think just growing that team, and I think putting the seeds that I put into those young guys, and I'm not taking the full credit. It was Elvis Dumerville was on that team, Pierre Garçon, guys that were my age, that were vets, had played a long time in this league. I think we kind of helped try to set the foundation to what led to 2019 when they were able to make that run into the Super Bowl.
And this year, too.
And that
continued as well.
Yeah, so, like, that we had struggled. We hadn't had any wins, I believe, the first 9 weeks of the season.
It's a tough year.
And then we traded for Jimmy, and then we won, 6 out of the last 7 games.
Yeah.
So I think that was, even though, it wasn't like a Super Bowl or playoff, I only went to the playoffs once in my career, so I think that was a great moment for me, playing in the link, as they would call it, and having a hell of a game and just trying to help mold those young guys into some of the players they are today.
That's good. What was the year you played in the playoffs? What was that one year?
It was my rookie year, so 2008. I didn't play, though, because I was a rookie.
So you were just kind of along for the ride.
Exactly, literally along for the ride, but the playoffs are different, man. I had never seen anything like that. I was playing for the Giants my rookie year, and we played Philadelphia in the division round, and literally the Giants had just won the Super Bowl the year before in 2007. So I'm like, man, my rookie year, I might get a ring, and the Super Bowl's in Tampa. I'm from Tampa. So I'm like, this is double. I'm getting the ring maybe my rookie year, and I'm getting to go back home where I'm from.
But I already know, I'm thinking back, the Eagles upset the Giants.
Did we? Did they?
did.
Good Lord. Deshaun Jackson and McNabb went off on us.
Yes.
And, like, honestly didn't think with the team that we had we were going to lose, right? Because, again, this is a team that had just been there the year before, had everybody back. The only player that we kind of missed, 2 players we missed, was Plexico Burress, and then O.C. had towards ACL in preseason.
That's right.
But
everybody else was back.
But we were still humming on defense.
Yeah.
We were still humming on had the number 1 run offense in football. That's when they had a 3-headed monster. Had Brandon Jacobs, Derek Ward, and Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah.
So it was hard to stop that run game. So, yeah, man, that was the only time I got to see playoff football. And
I ask you that only because it's very common. You're at the Super Bowl. We have guests on who are, oh, you played in the Super Bowl. We have Rodney McLeod here a couple hours ago. He's sporting his 2017 Eagles ring.
Blessed, man. It's not easy to get there.
Good for him, right? And he should do that. But there's so many players like you and many others. I talked to an offensive lineman who played 10 years, and his best season was 6 wins in 10 years.
I wasn't that bad, Jay.
No, you weren't. You weren't, Leger. You were not that bad.
In 2015, we went 10-6 and didn't get in. And usually 10-6 gets you into the playoffs.
Usually.
Shoot, 9-7 gets you into the playoffs nowadays.
But my point being to appreciate
you have
how hard it is.
It is. Brandon Marshall, a guy that's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
never went to the playoffs. Not 1 year.
Not 1 year. Like, and then you see like Cincinnati come out of nowhere, and they're in the Super Bowl.
I tell guys all the time, man, you have to literally each season, bro.
Yes.
Like you have to take full advantage because you don't ever know if you're gonna like that 10-6 season still haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
Because I thought the team that we had when I was with the Jets, if we had just got into the dance, we were gonna make a run.
You were gonna have
so that game that season still haunts me to this day.
Have a good run. Yeah, man. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by Radio Row. Leger Douzable, 11 years in the NFL. Congrats on a great career, and certainly SNY, ESPN, CBS Sports. I hope many more opportunities for you in the broadcast world, and keep honoring God with all you do. Thanks, buddy.
Always. Thank you.
And many thanks to Leger Douzable, the former NFL defensive end, 10 years in the league. We thank Leger for being here today on Sports Spectrum. He's such a great guy, and I'm glad we were able to find time in person down in Los Angeles to sit down and talk and share his story, a little bit of his story, and what God is doing in his life right now. Right here on Sports Spectrum, the intersection of sports and faith. That's what we're about here on the show. Make sure you check out our website for all of our content, podcasts, devotionals, daily devotionals, by the way. You can also check out the stories, the articles, the testimonials, updated every day at sportspectrum.com. It's all free, so definitely check out the website. You can also reach me via email. Jason@sportspectrum.com is my email address. Jason@sportspectrum.com. Would love to hear from you about this interview or any ideas you might have for future guests here on the show. You guys are great. We really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Do tune in next time for another episode of the Sports Spectrum podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.